Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown.
Live comment and discussion with studio guests. Viewpoint.
It is Tuesday, the 4th of August. You're listening to Viewpoint, Talk Radio's current affairs discussion show with a panel of invited guests where we discuss the issues of the day with you for the next hour and 55 minutes or so. We are going to be discussing a variety of subjects. The main one, front and centre today, is going to be obviously the weekend's events in Ceuta. What does it mean? Should you be worried about more immigration? Do you think it's part of a conspiracy by Morocco? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that with 952 78 4000. We may look at the situation as well. I mean, wildfires are still front and centre of what's going on in Spain. They reckon it's 19,000 euros to clear or to deal with per hectare. 1,000 hectares have been destroyed in the recent weeks as we head into the hottest month. Plus anything else that is crossing your radar. It can be national, international or local. Be delighted to hear from you. These are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
But first of all, let's have a look at what the front pages are saying in the UK this morning, at least. Writing the Telegraph, Andy Burnham says he cannot exempt more criminals from his government's early prison release scheme without risking the collapse of a system within months. The Times says Burnham has watered down the scheme, saying killers but not rapists will be given early release. The Guardian calls the changes a major intervention that reports the scheme will allow the release of domestic abusers. This put victims' lives at risk. The Domestic Abuse Commissioner, Dame Nicole Jacobs, tells the paper. The Sun hones in on the case of PC Andrew Harper with the headline declaring cop killers will go free. Daily Mail says as details of the suspect arrested over the murder of a Scottish woman in Greece, it claims he was an Afghan boxer who arrived on a small boat and converted to Christianity. He's due in court on Wednesday. That ticks all the boxes for the Daily Mail. The Mirror describes Nigel Farage's Reform Party as a sinking ship. The paper says the party's plans to use the Navy to stop small boats has been torpedoed by defence experts. Financial Times speaks to one former Navy commander who says, well, it's doable. The Navy will have to stop doing pretty much everything else. Political sketch in the Times asks if Reform's Operation Fortress plan is designed to keep Farage afloat. The Daily Express leads on a twice-yearly jab, hailed it as a game-changer to help people control high blood pressure. The Times pays tribute to the journalist Rod Liddell, calling him brilliant and provocative. The Sun says it's funny and fearless columnist specialised in saying the unsayable. The former BBC Radio 4 Today programme editor died at 66 after a short illness. And the Eye front page shows parched brown fields. It's highlighting England and Wales recording the driest July since records began 190 years ago. Telegraph reports on another effect of the UK's recent heat waves: stunted potato crops as spuds stop growing if temperatures reach above 30. The paper warns chips may soon be shorter and baked potatoes hard to come by. The chips are down, is which the headline says. So back to those front pages. Again, just have a quick look at the front pages. The Sun, cop killers will go free. The Daily Telegraph, PC Harper killers will still be freed early. Rapists and groomers will not be freed early, says the Guardian. The Times, killers but not rapists given early release. That's them. The Mirror, Farage's sinking ship. The Eye, driest July in 190 years. Daily Mail, Athens suitcase murder suspects. Financial Times, Apple launches legal challenge to new demand for data access. And Daily Express, 2 jabs a year to target silent killer. The Metro, 15 stone lighter and jabs are just the job. A kebab addict's transformation, apparently. And the Daily Star, Gianni, here's Donny. There was using a picture of the US President Donald Trump breaking through wooden boards. FIFA President Gianni Infantino wants Trump to help him save his job. Apparently Trump wasn't returning calls, but there you go. Looking at the front pages in Spain, just to see what they are saying this morning. Obviously, the main stories are still looking at Ceuta, as you would probably imagine, as we still work to find out the judicial inquiries are set to begin with those indeed looking at Spanish front pages, but my machine has just decided to freeze. So those are your front pages on this Tuesday, the 4th of August. If you want to get involved with the show, if it's something national, international or local, these are the numbers.
952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Right then. Now we've got two live guests in the studio. We're joined by one of the A team, Alia Babapuli. Morning to you, Alia.
Good morning. Thank you for telling me I'm alive.
Yes, indeed. Just to let you know, and also, welcome back, Percy Rowland. It's been a while.
It has. Thanks for not telling me I'm alive.
Well, you know,
I'm not. I'm undead.
You're undead. It is August after all.
Yes.
I'm hopefully going to be joined by Claudio De La Torre in the second half of the show. He's told me he's going to be coming in. He's promised, so we shall see. We shall see, as the saying goes. But are we both surviving summer thus far? I mean, we're only on day. It feels like a sort of journal entry. You know, day 4.
Actually, summer sort of started off in end of April, didn't it? Beginning of May. It started getting hotter, and it's not stopped.
Pretty much so. So looking at the front pages, well, it's very interesting to see, because migration in one form or the other seems to have been front and centre. If the country is not full of immigrants, it's burning down. Basically, I think is the way that the press are looking at both and in Spain.
And if it's burning down, it's because of the immigrants.
Well, yeah, yes, exactly.
Except when you're short of firefighters, then you need immigrants.
Yeah. So looking at the I'm asking on today's show. I'm also got something running on the Facebook page, and I'm asking the following question on the Facebook page, which is Talk Radio Europe Official. Looking at what we've got there, I'm asking the question on today's show. Do you think, after the events in Ceuta, do you think Spain is viewed as a soft option for those wishing to enter the EU illegally? Thus far, we have. We'll have to come back to that in a moment. So, look, but the overwhelming majority seems to be saying no, they don't see. Guys, your take on what you'll see. Your take on what has been happening in Ceuta and reaction. I'll start with you, Alia, first.
I made a couple of notes. Start off with, most people in some parts of the world don't know that Ceuta is in Africa and it's not in Spain, to start off with. And then yesterday, Morocco's Interior Ministry confirmed that independent analysis has already indicated that the entry of at least 50,000 people into Ceuta was not spontaneous. It was orchestrated through an online mobilization and disinformation campaign, largely driven from outside Morocco, from US and Israel, with the aim of destabilizing Spain, undermining European migration policy and ultimately weakening Europe itself. And looking at the way that some have not backed Spain, like Meloni and Merz and even Denmark, have all said, Spain needs to get out of the Schengen agreement and everything. What load of baloney is this? Sanchez just said they're not coming into Spain. Ceuta is Spanish. It's been dealt with. Finish. That's it. There isn't anything else. Is there?
Percy, your take on this, on what you've seen, what you've been seeing, because they've been quite striking images, haven't they, that we saw over the past couple of days?
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. It's not the first time. Look, I read that as well. This statement from. Funny enough, I've only seen it on one news outlet, so I'm not sure how far it's like an official statement from the Moroccan ministry. However, it's basically Morocco saying, okay, all those conspiracy theories are true. They might have an interest themselves in people wanting to believe that. Look, Morocco has a history of doing this, and there is a lot more to this than most people are aware of, because there is that little, well, not that little, it's quite huge part of Africa called the West Sahara.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I mean, you look at it, you think there's nothing there, and there's only a couple of people living there. It's like the second most sparsely inhabited country, if it were a country, after Greenland. But hotly contested between various countries, primarily actually nowadays, Morocco and Algeria. Algeria doesn't want it, but Algeria uses it to destabilize Morocco.
Yeah.
Spain used to own it, and then, when Franco died, was forced into Russia, and in rather typical fashion, they didn't do any kind of transition. The UN came in at the time and said the Sahrawis have a right to have an independent country, which again, you can question how far the UN should have done that. But anyway, Spain just said, okay, Morocco, Mauritania, here's your country back, bye-bye. Since then, it's been a thorn in the side for diplomatic relations, and every time Spain does something that Morocco doesn't like, there is a little knock on the door in Ceuta. It happened in 2021. There was a smaller invasion like this. This is a big one. It is obvious that the Moroccan authorities knew about this and let it happen, or even actively encouraged it, because Morocco is not a country where you can get 50,000 people together without, and let them just get on with it. No. And actually, Morocco, for most of the time, is helping Spain keeping immigrants out. For most of the time. And today, last week, they just showed what can happen if they don't. It's a shot across the bow of because Spain had been negotiating with Algeria about closer ties and getting direct gas supplies from Algeria.
Right.
That is what is primarily behind this, from everything that I've read. Is there, of course, Morocco is playing a very interesting game, because on the one hand, it's become far more conservative in recent decades, far more, let's say, pro-Arab, pro-Islamist. At the same time, it's it's been the first country in the Arab world, basically, to really get closer ties with Israel, which is a very interesting game they're playing. But I'm sure there are all kinds of players in the background, but I think a lot of it is opportunism. But this is primarily Spain sending a message to Morocco sending a message to Spain and saying, you better watch what you're doing.
Also, the fact that they suddenly got, I think it was 20 million euros from the USA, suddenly appeared in Morocco. And then this happened. Yeah.
It's
Trump
interesting.
sent it over.
It's interesting that you bring up the Algerian thing, because obviously the first thing that a lot of people were saying was, it's because of this link that Morocco has with Israel, trying to make more.
It's very popular to blame Israel for everything, and I'm not an apologist for Israel at all, but sometimes it can go a bit too far, I think.
I mean, Javier Bardem, the famous actor, and I've always got mixed feelings when actors get involved with stuff. He was saying, you see, it's all Israel's fault, the usual stuff, and people are joining the dots with this one, because I think Morocco called somewhere Trump Avenue or whatever, and they're even linking it to the World Cup, and now Trump wants to get, if you join all the dots, as I always say, you'll find out that the world is run by a subterranean cabal of 12-foot subterranean hamsters called Nigel. But anyway,
isn't it?
Yeah,
it would explain a lot.
There is a website. Trust me, I'll direct you to that.
I thought it was green crocodiles, actually.
That's the other one.
That's the other one.
That's the other one.
Oh, okay.
That's the other
Sorry.
one. That's fake news, Halia.
Really?
Yeah, really. If you want to get involved with the show, here are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And looking at the comments coming in for the poll that I'm running, John's come in. The events in Ceuta were clearly orchestrated. We can therefore not regard them as a measure of anything. Sanchez's response seems firm, balanced, and proportionate. Jane says this is an orchestrated attack to destabilise Europe. So that is those are some of the comments coming in on my social media feed. If you want to get involved with the show, WhatsApp is probably the best way, which is +3 645 99 67 95. Obviously, this is on the back of what has been quite a bumpy sort of premiership thus far. This was really not what Pedro Sanchez really needed as he was, heading off for his holiday break. One could argue. I mean, it doesn't help him if he's just about to take, because obviously the Spanish Parliament shut down for their break last week, and he was probably looking forward to, I don't know, spending some time on the golf course, on his mountain bike, or going through his playlist, which he shared with everybody the other day. So,
how tone deaf can you be? I mean, seriously, how tone deaf and how stupid can you be when there's a situation like that? I mean, you have several national emergencies. You have the wildfires. You have this going on in Ceuta, and you go and you share your Spotify playlist. I'm sorry, you kind of. I don't join in the total vilification of Pedro Sanchez, which is very popular in Spain, but this is just you're kind of deserving what you get.
Alia,
I'm actually in agreement with Percy, which surprises me sometimes.
Surprises me too. No, and if we talk about, all right, I would. There wasn't much else and much more that he could have done in this situation now in response to it. The problem is not the response. The problem is that it could happen, and that it could happen so easily. And when you listen to people living in Ceuta, what their view is. And it's very interesting because, there's 80,000 people in Ceuta, 60,000 people came in one day. And the videos you see of people looting and stealing and beating people up and so on, they're not staged, they're not fake. This is how they acted. It's a mob, of course. It's a rented mob. It's quite easy to rent a mob in a country that has 30% unemployment.
Well, yeah, exactly.
On every street corner, you have a bunch of young men, and it's always young men who have no future, who see no future and have no future, and all their frustrations and all their testosterone is pent up, and it gets released there. But the fact that the defenses of Ceuta, which is a part of Spain, even if it's not on mainland Spain, has been a part of Spain for 500 years, is the only land border that the European Union has with Africa. And it's not part of Schengen. So the whole thing about Schengen, I mean, that was grandstanding from politicians who, again, want to exploit it for their own means. Yeah. But still, the fact that it had such lax defenses that these people could just climb over and, and of course there was the Spanish Supreme Court that recently ruled that if they entered by water, then they didn't breach a border, because there is no, which is, if you take a very legalistic view of it, is correct. There was no visible border, so they could not say that they crossed a border. That's the legal argument behind it. So what they've done now, if you look at it, they put up a barrier in the sea to indicate where the border is, which of course you can swim over. But the fact that it was possible, I mean, okay, most of them went back afterwards, which tells you everything you need to know about this, right? Yeah. Yes. Because if they really wanted to, a few thousand are still there. They're still sort of rampaging the streets. But the fact that it could happen, and if you think about all the things that happened and that could have happened to the people living there, it's very worrying. What is also interesting, to get a balanced view, is that, of course, the far right in Spain tried to exploit this big time. So the professional troublemakers all went there. Were hounding them on the streets, telling them to F off and get out. Which again tells you, even though they feel left alone by the Spanish government, they feel that this is, and it's true, it's very frightening. But at the same time, they're not joining in with the extreme right discourse of this. So, it's comforting actually to see that people there are, them standing more on the middle ground, and, people should listen to them a bit more.
This from Claudia. Good morning, Dave. Thanks. Am I thinking what's happening in theatre is the Trump factor? The man is a troublemaker. He didn't like Sanchez's response from the Iran war. I am thinking he also wanted to destroy the European Union. Mad times with the madman in the White House. I am praying every day. Have a good day, Claudia from Nerja. Thank you, Claudia.
You're giving Trump too much credit there.
No, Giles, there was actually a document which came out which showed that the US has said that Ceuta is now not Spanish anymore. It was going to be given over to another government. I didn't read all the way through it, unfortunately, but that was the gist of it. So they're trying to meddle in a sovereign country's affairs yet again, which is going to be yet again another disaster.
I don't saw Musk saying that he reckoned that 7 billion people would want to go and live in Spain.
Yeah, 7 billion. Yes.
Was it 7 billion or 7 million? Anyway, 7 million people going along because the benefits were so easy. I mean, it is very easy for political actors to seize on these and make it.
It's easy to get benefits anywhere, actually, if you go and look at it properly. People think they can waltz into Spain and they're going to get everything thrown at them, as they think they're going to do that in the UK, which is certainly not the case whatsoever.
This
loopholes to go through.
Well, exactly. I mean, hundreds of migrants are still sort of setting up camp on a beach in Ceuta as local authorities. So they're struggling to cope with 1,000 still in the tiny. There are Spain's latest estimates that about 69,000 returned to Morocco over the past 4 days. The official death toll on the Spanish side is 72, with 11 on the Moroccan side. Many left, as they said, the shop closures had left them without food. They encountered hostility from locals, and they were able to travel onto the Spanish mainland. So many of them are videos showed scores of migrants, most of them from sub-Saharan Africa, lying on the sand of El Trampolin beach, many wrapped in towels. They think between 3,000 and 5,000 migrants remain in the enclave, and the 2 migrant reception centres have collapsed, apparently. The local officials, Alberto Gaitan, said the city was processing 862 migrant minors who have special legal status. I mean, they did seem to be this social media thing saying that, this disinformation that says sort of Spain the Ceuta was open and therefore, they get to Spain. And obviously, if you've got 25% unemployment and a lot of the young people because they were, I know it always makes me laugh when they go, young men of fighting age, but they were young men who were trying to get over there saying Viva España, etc. And then they got there and found that, I don't know if they were expecting, like I said, a direct sort of ferries straight onto the mainland or something like that, but they seemed to have had a pretty sharp wake-up call when they realised that, because shopkeepers were quite naturally shotting up shop because they weren't ready for this influx of people.
Well, we don't know until someone goes in and really starts interviewing some of those guys.
Yeah. There were some interviews done, Percy.
Yeah?
Yes, there were interviews done. And the young men said that we were told completely different, that we could go to Spain. Yeah. That was on the actual news.
So they've clearly been, whipped up to, and obvious what happened there. I think people are overestimating a little bit the influence or the interest even of Trump, for example, in this. I think he wouldn't even be able to point at the map and say where it is. But this is, I think, primarily, we kind of forget. We look at Morocco and we say, it's like this quaint country where we go. It's like, it's nice to go on a holiday, and it's otherwise, completely unimportant. Morocco is actually quite it's a middle power. And it is, for us, especially in Europe, quite an important partner, because it is the prime, for Spain, for sure. In Italy, they have to deal with Libya and Algeria, but for Spain, it is the main gatekeeper for everybody who comes from Africa, and if you see all the people here who we, take for granted, walking around on the beaches selling watches and so on, some of whom have, several university degrees and speak multiple languages. When you talk to them, it's fascinating, and it's very sad what a lot of these people have gone through. But if you think about just what they have gone through to get here, and of course all of them have gone through Morocco, but Morocco is the one that is keeping them out for us, primarily, which is what gives them a position of power. And they perfectly know this, and they perfectly, it's natural that they will try and exploit that. And but I think this is, it's been handled okay, I would say, by the Spanish government now, in the sense that what else could they do? But they've been lucky, because if those people had not gone back, what would they do? Right? Yeah. Basically, Spain hasn't handled it. But in this situation, it's probably the best thing they could do to kind of not handle it. What they should think about is, how do we prevent something like this happening again? Because it is obvious that also the EU is going to issue with a country that is not protecting its borders. And, there's been a lot of talk, some of it justified, a lot of criticism of people like Orban in Hungary and all the Eastern European countries. If you look at it, all the Eastern European countries very early on, no matter what their political persuasion was, took a very hard line on protecting the borders.
When Merkel said we'll take
Exactly. And what Sanchez has done now is quite, in the last year, is quite similar to what Angela Merkel did. I think, there are the cynics who say that he only did it because he wants more people potentially be Spanish citizens who can vote for him. Maybe that is a little bit a calculation as well. I think, quite honestly, there is this thought. I mean, you see a lot of people here. Most of them are actually Latin American. People always think about the immigrants, all the Muslims. There is a part of them, but if you think about it, a lot of the people who come here, they actually escape from those countries because they don't want to live under those circumstances anymore. It's just like the Russians who came in, we don't want to live under Putin, but they all get lobbed together, right?
If you go up to Madrid and Barcelona, I was in both cities a couple of weeks ago, you'd be amazed by, if you think, it's Muslim immigration, that's because people are seeing it coming over the strait. But if you're on the metro in Madrid at 7 in the morning,
Ecuadorians, Bolivians, Colombians, Venezuelans, a lot of Venezuelans. And for them, they have this view, even Argentinians, they have this view over there that Spain is like La Patria. No, it's like it's the motherland, and it will welcome them with open arms. We're brothers, we speak the same language. And then they're quite shocked when they come here that it's not the case. But this idea of giving all these people the road, let's say, to legal residence, which in some ways is not wrong. You have to at some point accept, okay, we have all these people here. Do we send them back, or do we integrate them? Those are the two options you have. No, we keep them in a sort of limbo, because sending them back, one part of the population starts screaming. We integrate them, another part of the population starts screaming. So we keep them in this kind of limbo, which is actually unfair to everybody. But it sent a signal, just as Merkel's very well intended, but very dangerous and very stupid decision to let all the refugees in. It sends a signal, and you lose control of that. And it was a mistake the way it's been done. And, the projection of maximum 500,000, and it's already close to 2 million.
This is the
from
one
what I read.
Yeah,
this another day.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean,
so you can imagine how that feels to the local population, who feel also squeezed from on every level, from every. They can't afford rents anymore. They can't everything is going up. Salaries are not going up. And on paper you see, the Spanish economy is doing very well. Yes, but that does not translate to what people experience.
Going to take a quick break, our first commercial break, and then back with more Viewpoint.
Viewpoint with
Giles Brown.
Always lively. Joined in the studio by Ali Ababapuli and Percy Rowland, of course. Asking the question, and on the poll that I'm running, do you think Spain is viewed as a soft option for those wishing to enter the EU illegally? Well, 91% of you say no. So it's quite decisive at the moment, indeed. If you want to get involved with this morning's show, it can be something national, international, local. These are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Now, just to get a few other points about the whole situation with Ceuta. I think that if Claudio does join us in the second half, he's got his own thoughts about this. But The anti-immigration rhetoric that's coming out through Europe, as you said before, it is sparking diplomatic tensions. Spain's been accusing some partners of being unhelpful and polarizing response. Now, the foreign minister of Spain, who is José Manuel Álvarez, said yesterday Spain had previously supported other EU countries during migration crises and now expected reciprocal backing. The EU has called an emergency video conference for later on today with interior ministers to discuss the crisis. Álvarez sharply criticised Italy's government, accusing it of helping amplify misinformation. He said that Morocco had immediately offered police support and had not cooperation, allowing for the rapid return of most of those who crossed. But Ceuta's Bibas was critical of Rabat, saying there was a widespread perception within Ceuta that it had been allowed, if not orchestrated, the crisis. So Bibas said, this is what he told El País yesterday: Morocco has shown us that it isn't reliable. There's no alternative but to put in place whatever means are necessary to ensure it cannot do this again. Morocco, in the meantime, Morocco's interior ministry blamed the surge on misinformation on social media, human trafficking networks, and a misinterpretation of a Spanish court ruling, as we were saying, Percy, banning immediate returns of migrants intercepted at sea. And this was in line with Madrid's official view. So, but again, Spain's got every right to say, hang on a second, you can't, we're the European Union, and the clue is in the name, and we can't be blocking off other members of the Schengen just because Italy's feeling a bit reciprocal. Because if you remember the situation that Italy has had with immigration, and not only immigration coming from Africa, but if you remember the scenes from Albania several years ago, with boats literally groaning under the pressure as Albanians were trying to get into, and then into Europe. Of course, Albania now one of the new hotspots of Europe. But anyway, but you see what I'm saying. But however, one can argue that, hey, because Meloni's coming up for interview for elections herself this year, so tough on crime, tough on the cruisers of crime, I suppose the saying is. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
That's it. We've sorted it out.
You've said it all, Giles.
But also we're looking at the. You're an international man of mystery, Percy. What's happening with the Spanish intelligence service? Shouldn't they be? Shouldn't they? What was your man in Madrid? You're a man with connections. What were they saying about? I mean, should the because this has been another thing. The Spanish intelligence service should have known about this, or do you think it's just all too fluent? Blimey, that went off like a rocket. It's all too fluent. It's saying that somebody's calling in. However, it's not actually okay. I think our phone lines have gone down. So that'll be somebody from Morocco. That'll be somebody from Rabat.
We're talking too much sense here. We've uncovered the conspiracy.
So I seem to have.
We're on the money.
We're on the money. I seem to have a yes. It's definitely.
Or it's Mossad.
That'll be Andreas. That'll be Andreas calling in that case.
Our resident Mossad agent is not here today.
Unfortunately, it seems that my phone lines have decided to throw an interesting situation there. So therefore, so I was going to say 952, but yes, that's an interesting one thus far. I'm just going to do this and come back in a second.
Viewpoint with
Giles Brown.
Always live, always lively. Thank you to Cookie. Please, two of my favourite people together, Giles and Percy. So there you go.
Aww.
Thank you, Cookie. The boffins are working hard to get our phone system up and running. Okay, thank you very much, boffins. The phone system is back up and running. So if you want to call in 952 78 4000, you see, if you build it, they will come. Still, 91% of us think that this is not underlining the fact that Spain is the soft underbelly of Europe when it comes to in terms of people trying to get into Europe. We're talking all things Ceuta. If you want to get involved, these are indeed the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
15 minutes to the top of the hour at a time. Percy. To say you want to make it.
We're back on.
Yeah, back on. Yeah,
we're back on.
Yes. If I look at you and say Percy, and I go 15 minutes to the top of the hour, that's normally.
I don't see you.
You don't see me. I know. I should wear a bigger hat.
It's your hat.
It's my hat. Yes.
No, I think what this shows again, I mean, when people say, oh, they don't see Spain as the soft underbelly, well, because until now, no one's really tested it. I think what this shows actually is how I disagree with that vote. I think it does show how vulnerable we are. And when I say we, it's not just Spain. I mean, the people who obviously they want to come over to Spain, they want to come over to Europe. They don't really care which country. People always think, oh, they want to go to a specific country. Everybody wants to go to the UK. Yeah. People just want to go to a country where they have some kind of opportunities that they don't have where they come from. Okay, there's also it's a minority, but it does exist of people who want to come for very ulterior motives, and they're usually being paid by someone else, which is another topic we can go into. But the vast majority are people who are escaping desperate situations, either war or just poverty, lack of opportunity, etc., etc. If you look at the demographics, everywhere in Africa, if you look at the sheer numbers of people who are, let's say, under 20, under 25, it's 50-60% of the population, which is the exact opposite of what we have. And of course, they see through the media, and especially now social media, all these people, no matter how poor they are, they do have a phone and they have the internet. Sure, they just see this opulent wealth that we portray. Right? We are this island of unlimited opportunity and wealth. And of course, they're attracted like moths to a flame. We do need to limit it because no matter if with the best goodwill in the world, we cannot take everybody in. It's impossible. It will destroy our societies. It will destroy the bit of wealth we still have, which is questionable anyway. Will no longer be there. Our way of life will become threatened. Not necessarily because these are all evil people who want to destroy us, but because they do have a different culture. They do have different expectations, and what they will provoke in our society is an extreme reaction. And this is what, if you go back, way, way back to the famous River of Blood speech by Enoch Powell, what he actually was warning us was, if you let people in unlimited numbers, you provoke a reaction which is going to be very ugly. That is human nature. So you must limit numbers in order to be able to manage it. What is really unfair, that Meloni and all these people, that they use this for a little bit of electioneering is to be expected. But what is very unfair of the European Union as a whole is that it expects some countries to bear the whole burden of protecting the European Union as a whole. Yes. And it does raise uncomfortable questions. How far do you want European integration to go? But you do at some point need a European force. Border force, at the very least, one that all countries contribute financially and with people. And we will need it, and we will need it much more in the future.
952-78-4000. Morning caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Morning, Giles. Soy Pedro.
Morning, Peter. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah. Pains me to listen, though, actually. I thought you'd fix the phone so that you could stick to Alia's conspiracy theory there. Isn't that funny that for years and years and years, anybody who mentions George Soros, Black Lives Matter, Me Too, anything, coordinated attacks, it's a conspiracy theory. One little incident like this, and suddenly Alia's on the conspiracy theories now, and it's all Trump's fault, which doesn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form. So, I don't know how many times I've attempted to say this, so I'm going to have one last little go. Are you taking a break in August, Joe, summer?
Am I taking a break every day?
As in, how do you normally mean? Viewpoint shuts down for a few weeks.
I'm not sure at the moment, depending on how.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is, I was going to suggest a bit of summer reading. See, the thing is with me, when a subject resonates with me, I like to drill down on it. I like to know everything about it, but more than what others know about it and how they're going to try and trip me up if I believe in something. And it's the same with politics. So I'll zoom out to the space station and take an overall view here. And the moment I mention globalists and everybody's eyes roll in the back of their head, as I've said over the years, time and time and time again. Now, you're into your history, yeah? History buff, history journalist. I don't know what your actual title is, or just, I don't know. And you mentioned being an investigative
armchair historian, the worst type.
Armchair historian.
The worst type, Peter.
And as a journalist, you said the other day, investigative journalist. I don't know if
that far, but anyway,
okay. You did say it. The point I'm making here is, at the moment, people just do not understand. And I really wish they did, because we could look at this in a much more, in an easier way, instead of grabbing all these little bits and bobs that are insignificant compared to the big picture. And the big picture is, and being a historian and loving, especially most of your guests, you often talk about the royals and the periods of time of the royals. That seems to be your go-to subject or your default subject. Now, if you go back 250 years, when America was born, if you go back to the very first Treasury Secretary, Alexander Hamilton, now if you really understand what's going on, if you've been watching the interviews with Vance and with Rubio and with Scott Bessent, if he can pull off what he's doing, there's going to be no greater leader in history than what he's doing. And he seems to be doing it. And I said to you a while ago that he would go after Europe next. Now, the point I'm making, I would love people to look this up. If you're really interested, look it up. I don't just mean go on your search engine and ChatGPT and get a sentence. Really drill down on your history. It will fascinate you, Giles. 250 years ago, when America was born, what happened? You had a civil war. In that civil war, when America was born, the South went after the North because of the slave trade. Now, the slave trade has gone on forever, and that's the British imperial system. All the kings and queens, they've done it forever. All the money gets washed through London. All they do is destroy and take off. They're the mafia, and just take off. And it goes to these handful of elite families and bankers, and we all know that's been going on forever. But America wouldn't stand for that. Right. America wanted sovereignty, they wanted to build, and they wanted to make everybody better off, and they wanted to trade. And the reason Trump has introduced the trade,
tariffs,
what do they call it? Tariffs, thank you. The reason he's done that, and he mentioned it last time, the extra 2.5%, is to stop the child labor, the forced labor, all this movement of people, right? Because that's what they used to do. Now, the South went after the North because the North was full of slaves, and they ended that.
Whoa. Hang on. You got that the wrong way around, Peter.
Sorry, the wrong way around. Yeah. Sorry, the North went after the South because it was full of slaves. Now, on paper, it looked like it was going to go the other way. And the Brits backed them, 100% backed the South. And they were ready to go there and break up America. And the reason it didn't happen was because the Russian Navy parked itself on the east and the west of the coast because they were shit scared that America would be broken up. And that system, that old system, the American system, suited the rest of the world. That's why Japan was pitted against America and Germany was pitted against Britain and all that. And don't take my word for it. I'm not intelligent enough to put this over. I'm smart enough to understand it, but I'm not intelligent enough. I didn't go and do my English exams or anything. But look it up, drill down on it, and understand there are two systems. And the American system under Donald Trump and the people he's put in are going for world peace and to build everything and stop these forever wars and this just milking it and kicking up through London all the time. And if you listen to the speeches recently, if you listen to Scott Bessent said 50% of his time as a Treasury Secretary is trying to defend America's borders, right? Now, what they launched was economic fury, not just against Iran. Now, that economic fury in Iran at the moment, they're running out of money. They're running out of fuel. He's got Hamas coming to the table, Hezbollah coming to the table, Israel are talking to the Lebanon. And not long ago, when Trump was in Egypt, when he was given that motorcade and greeted and everybody like a superhero, and all the West, the Arab countries were there. What happened to the European Union when von der Leyen that turned up, got in a black Uber and a minibus, right? Europe is the problem. Russia's not at war with Ukraine. Europe is at war with Russia. They want to continue this. And if the American system prevails, if Trump wins and he hands over to Rubio and we get 10 years of this, the world is going to change.
Thanks for the call. Thank you for the call in, Peter. 952-78-4000 is the phone number. studio@tre.radio is the email. The Facebook page is Talk Radio Europe Official.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us @TRE Talk Radio.
looking at the always live, always lively. Looking at some of the bits and pieces coming in. Excuse me. How can anybody vote no to this? The Moroccans flooded the beach, thanking Sanchez. Do you think that Spain is viewed as a soft option for those wishing to enter the EU illegally? Sammy comes in. How can anybody vote no to this? The Moroccans flooded the beach, thanking Sanchez. The percentages seem to, however, say that we've got 86% say that no. Spain is not the soft underbelly of Europe in terms of immigrants coming into that. Percy, welcome to Viewpoint.
Thank you.
Just as you can see, we have a large variety of viewpoints on indeed. And I just want to looking at some of the other bits and pieces coming in. Alia, your reaction to any of what we've heard thus far this morning?
Well, I'm not going to say anything about the last caller because I know he doesn't like me anyway, and it's reciprocated.
Okay.
So, no, what I think we've discussed is perfectly correct. And the information which I have given out this morning is because I looked up things, not just in one spot, but in various news agencies and so on and so forth. That's what I said, what I did. I agree with Percy and I agree with you. We're all on the same page where this is concerned. So it is, as Percy has very, very correctly said, a huge problem which needs to be discussed. And what he said also, which is what I've thought of a long time ago, is that we do need an EU border force. It's exactly no one particular country or a couple of countries can take on the responsibility of looking after everybody in the EU. It's impossible. So these are logical steps which should be taken care of.
Aren't this perfect storm? We might come into it, but aren't we at the perfect storm that we need? Whilst Europe, the demographics, and we remember this coming sort of 30 years ago, saying that we are becoming thankfully we're living longer, and yet the birth rates in Europe are falling, and then you get reports coming out like the UK, like last year, the most popular name in the UK was Mohammed, and people will start literally sort of tearing what's left of their hair out and saying, well, there you go, you will be under Sharia law before Wednesday. I saw
a very funny interview the other day, and I don't think the person was realising that he was being funny. Somebody was asked, it's a man in his 50s. And we said, well, what do you think about the immigrants? He said, oh, well, they're coming over to take my jobs and I can't get work and so on and so forth. And the lady interviewer said, well, why not? He said, because I have a police record. I was done for assault.
Right.
I mean, that negates anything, doesn't it? This is the thickness that some of these people have, not realising what they're saying and opening their mouths. And also, Percy said... And those people vote, and they procreate, which is even worse. But there we go.
952 78 4000 is the phone number. studio@tre.radio is the email. The Facebook page is Talk Radio Europe. Official, just to let you know what's coming up. Following me at 12 o'clock will be Stephen Ritson with Europe Today. Selena is back. She's back with 2 hours of lifestyle. Hannah Murray brings us TRE in the afternoon between 4 and 6. So we're back to our regular programming here on TRE Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain. Coming up to the end of the first half of this morning's Viewpoint, back after the national and international news. If you want to get involved with the show, then the numbers are 952 78 4000. You can email me at studio@tre.radio, and you can also WhatsApp me +34 645 9967 95, or leave a comment on the official Facebook page. We're asking the question for the poll after the events in Ceuta. Do you think that Spain is viewed as a soft option for those wishing to enter illegally? We go to the national and international news and then back with more Viewpoints.
Talk Radio Europe.
Your voice in Spain.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe. Giles Brown.
Live comment and discussion with studio guests.
Viewpoint.
Welcome back, second half of Viewpoint with me, Giles Brown. 55 minutes or so, and following me will be Stephen Ritson with Europe Today between 12 and 2. Following Stephen between 2 and 4 with the Lifestyle Show, before Hannah Murray brings us TRE in the afternoon. TRE in the afternoon between 2 and 4. That's all before Dave is with us tomorrow morning as well with Daybreak. If you want to get your thoughts across this morning, it can be something local, national, international or local, then these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And joined in the studio by, from my left, Aya Babapule, Percy Rowland, and making a welcome return to our screens, a very tan-looking Claudio. Claudio.
Good morning, Giles. Great to see you again.
You too. So you look like I spent a lot of time on. You've been well. You've been sort of
very well.
Very
fantastic.
Well.
Can't complain. Life is good.
Is it really good?
He looks beachified.
He looks very beachified, I must say. Yeah. You've been doing some research.
Indeed, yeah.
So come on, because I mentioned this to you in passing the other day, and you said I'd love to come and talk about this because obviously, you spend a lot of time between here and Madrid, and sometimes. And what is your? I mean, we've seen the usual influx of people waving flags in Madrid over the weekend, going, todo por la patria, and this sort of backlash because it looked like, if you believe some of the media reports, there was an invasion going on. So what's your take on it, Claudio?
Well, I do believe this was a territorial invasion orchestrated by Morocco.
Right.
This wasn't a casual incursion. This was definitely Spanish and EU border, organized and tolerated. Perhaps not so much organized, but tolerated and incited by Morocco. Mm-hmm. It's not the first time this has happened. It also happened in 2021 when a big organized group of people entered the Ceuta border. Yeah. So it's not a novelty. That happened when Joe Biden was president. Wasn't there at the time because now there's been a lot of conspiracy theories of all types. In 2002, Morocco put soldiers on the Berejil island. Mm-hmm. So this is tension that's been going on for many years. It's not new. And for me, both the Moroccan authorities' attitude and the Spanish government's lack of response at the border have been absolutely, because there are reports that the intelligence services knew what was going on. Days before, they had given warnings of what was going on about the huge amount of people that were at the border. It was even on open Facebook groups. They were there already waiting on the other side. So the Moroccan government failed to protect their citizens, allowing thousands of people to go into the sea, and this has caused a huge humanitarian crisis because everyone just talks about the people that have entered illegally, but they seem to forget that nearly 100 people have died, which is the worst tragedy there's been forever at the Ceuta border. We're talking about a huge tragedy. And this was allowed because the Moroccan authorities tolerated the people to enter the sea. They saw them going in with dinghies and floats, and they did absolutely nothing to prevent them from going in. And yet the Spanish government did allow these people to come in. They didn't stop them. Now they are stopping them. And in the last few days, there were some that tried to go in, and we saw the army and the police at sea stopping them. So it is possible to stop them. It's not that it was impossible. So I see negligence on both sides. However, I do think that who has most to blame is the regime of Morocco. Morocco has a regime that's a huge human rights violator, not only in immigration, but of suppression of activists, locking up critical journalists. So we're talking about a hardline dictatorship that suppresses its people.
But I mean, the thing is, though, Morocco is being seen as a friend of the West, because I mean, I know the king spends most of his time in Paris, but you know, they have made huge strides in terms of trying to get tourism into Morocco, as opposed to say Tunisia or Algeria on the border. And as Percy said in the first half, an awful lot of this goes on to which many people may not be aware of, is the situations between Algeria and Morocco and Western Sahara, and it all sort of links, perhaps even more so than those who are drawing this line between, you know, Trump, Israel, whatever, Gaza, etc., etc.
Yeah. I believe they're not a friend or ally of the West. Perhaps they're a geopolitical ally of the US and Europe. However, Saudi Arabia are, and they also commit terrible human rights violations. It doesn't mean that they're kind of allies of the West, that they're free to do whatever they want. And I really do think the European Union should take strong measures against Morocco, because it wasn't only an invasion and a breach of the Spanish border, it was an invasion and to a EU territory, to a Schengen area territory. And we are talking about thousands and thousands of unidentified people. The intelligence services and the Guardia Civil have identified people that were deported from Spain for Islamism terror offences, who have been spotted in Ceuta. We're talking about people who have been openly said that they were escaping justice, or that they were they had left Moroccan prisons. Like the King of Morocco, he just pardoned, I think it's 1,000 criminals just a few days before this happening. So Morocco has a great way to keep their street. I go to Morocco often, and you feel extremely safe there, of course, because they allow their criminals out of jail, and they pardon them regularly. There's regular pardons of criminals. I think it's for Eid festival. Then this one is the festival of the throne of Mohammed. For me also, another thing that was terrible, just that the morning after the territorial incursion in Ceuta, we saw Spanish ministers at the embassy in Madrid celebrating the anniversary of the throne of King Mohammed VI. So I think we need to start treating Morocco more severely, and I think the EU needs to take severe action against Morocco, so they respect our laws and our borders.
I mean, there's not a lot of you mentioned, say that, you know, they need stricter sort of things to stop these people coming over swimming around. But I mean, short of going full Katie Hopkins, when she was an English commentator who said she would quite happily machine gun people in the water. But I mean, there's not. If you've got thousands.
The Guardia Civil was infamous for, let's say, allowing people to drown.
Yeah,
way back.
Exactly.
It stopped.
Yes.
But you know, it was considered awful. But at the same time, there is a certain point to be made that you don't want to encourage people to come over. If you have rescue at sea, which of course everybody knows that if something happens to them, they'll be rescued. You just give more fodder to the traffickers who are encouraging people to go over. Yeah. It's an awful situation, but it's a catch-22. We all want to be treating people humanely, except for certain people, but at the same time you have to draw a line somewhere. I have a friend who used to work in search and rescue for many years, and we've talked about it. And he used to, even when he was living here, he was working for a company that was basically he had on his screen, he could see every vessel in the Mediterranean that was in trouble. And he said the worst thing is sometimes, it's been this boat is about to sink, and there are so many people on it, and you can't do anything because it has to go through the processes first, like which country is responsible, who is going to take these people if we rescue them, and so on. And meanwhile, you're watching this, they drown. It's awful. But at the same time, this is, unfortunately, there are so many awful things in the world like this. We need to see the big picture. I agree with everything Claudia just said about Morocco. I think it's, but at the same time, Morocco we need to tread carefully. It is quite an important, let's say, partner in a sense, because they are the only ones who can keep people out for us, basically. So I don't think there's that much we can do if they really go in big numbers.
But consider this though. Morocco for many people is maybe their only entry point. I'm not talking Europeans, so an understanding of culture, of different cultures of North Africa, of Maghrebi culture. And if you suddenly start saying to people, we're going to make some severe repercussions against Morocco, because again, my voice is breaking with the emotion. Thank you very much. I mean, Dawn's come in saying my eyes are just about back in their sockets after Peter's comments, but it's his viewpoint. He's absolutely entitled to them. But what I'm saying is, people have a problem with immigration when it's faceless, when they go, there's thousands coming over the border. But when it's sort of we've seen this in the UK, too many immigrants, apart from the Patels down the road, they're quite nice sort of situation. You have that. And for a lot of people, Moroccan culture is, Moroccan food is wonderful. Moroccan culture is wonderful. We're sitting here in Al-Andalus, for goodness sake.
Yes.
Right, so.
We can, sorry, Ali, go ahead.
Forgetting that 700 years ago, it was a little bit different, wasn't it?
Well, yeah.
Just a tad.
Yeah.
I think because now one debates all kinds of different aspects of immigration, but what we have to say in this particular case, it is a breach of law. It's a breach of international treaties. Morocco once again has allowed and weaponized their own people. They've weaponized their own people for political gains, which is disgusting. It's not the first time they do it. However, this is not the only case in Europe. It also happens with the regime of Belarus, and they also use immigration to weaponize. They weaponize immigration to their own benefit to destabilize their neighbors. And they do it with Poland. However, Poland, I must say, I admire them because both governments of Poland, the previous one who was more nationalist and the new one of Tusk, they have both been very firm on the border. Their borders are militarized, and anyone who enters illegally is arrested and taken to court. And that's how it should be, because borders are there to be protected. You can't expect to violate a border and to get a warm welcome and be so one has to consider that Morocco is not a country that's at war. We're talking about a very wealthy country. The monarch Mohammed VI is one of the richest men in the world. The prime minister of Morocco, Akhnouch, is the richest man in Morocco and owns a lot of the gas stations and hotels and businesses. So they have a huge amount of money, but they just keep extorting Europe for more money. We're paying for their police cars. We're paying for their infrastructure. The EU keeps giving them loans for trams and eco-friendly transport, and they just keep taking money. And when it's not convenient, or when they get a bit upset, like for example now because the Spanish government gave nationality to Saharan citizens, and they made a gas agreement with Algiers. Yeah. There they go. That's their revenge. Yeah. In 2021, it was because of the Polisario and the hospital. So whenever they have a reason, their revenge is always using their citizens. And this time they've caused a huge humanitarian crisis and inevitable deaths, because when the authorities want, they push away their citizens at the border and they don't let them enter illegally. But when it's convenient for them, you even see them, they open the gates, they just allow them to go in because they have orders, of course. So I think even if Morocco, we are obliged to have a cordial relationship because we do share a border with them. There's huge trade links. There's living in Europe. So it's not like if we can stop all diplomatic relations, but they must respect European laws, and they must know that there is consequences to their actions. That they can't just have impunity once more for causing this terrible situation.
I'm looking at something. Yeah, indeed. Looking at some of the, if you want to get your viewpoint in, this coming in via studio at TRE.radio. Trump is only out to line his pockets and those of his cronies. Look at the amount of outstanding lawsuits with banks on money laundering on his behalf. Thank you from Norma with that one as well. Claudio's quite straight down the line with his comments on that panel. Any comeback on that? Ali, are you going to say anything on this one?
I was thinking back to when Angela Merkel opened up all of Europe, actually, to refugees. And we have discussed this before. I have got absolutely nothing against immigrants whatsoever.
Right.
Having been one myself. And we who live here in Spain, who have come from other countries, we are immigrants.
Well, you see, you said the word there rather than saying using the E word.
Expats. We are immigrants. We are immigrants. It's not expat whatsoever. But we have assimilated ourselves into the culture, into loving the country which we happen to be living in. We can still criticize it. Why not? We pay our taxes. We live and work. We give people other work. Hopefully they get paid as well when we get paid. But she didn't think all of that through. It was a carte blanche for all sorts of people to come in. And yes, they were mainly refugees, and it was horrible situations they were going through. However, those situations, many of the African countries haven't changed. Look what's happening in Sudan. Look what's happening in Yemen. And so on and so forth. We don't see people coming in here from there because they're getting slaughtered. So it, unfortunately now, from that moment on, Europe in general has had to bear the brunt of all of this, with not enough thought going into how.
I would say the big problem is that, I remember being much more right-wing when it was totally not fashionable to be so, and now I feel kind of the reluctant liberal. But it's interesting how things change. And, I always was skeptical in many ways about Europe, and I still am skeptical about Europe, but I've come to realize that there is absolutely no other way that we can actually survive other than banding together as much as possible. The problem is, and it goes back to the old issue of Europe, that there is no European identity, or at least not sufficiently a European identity. And that makes it very difficult to have a unified European policy. And still, it is far too easy for any politician of any European country to try and win an election by stirring up emotions against also other European countries. There is the only way we can weather this in some way or form is by having a unified European policy on this. And this unified European policy will be uncomfortable for a lot of people. It will be uncomfortable for the rabid nationalists, and it will be uncomfortable even more so, I think, for the, let's be a bit disparaging, call them bleeding heart lefties, because it will imply that we need to define what it. And we need to talk about identity, unfortunately, because humans are tribal. We do define ourselves by a lot of things. We define ourselves by the things we have in common. And you may think, I don't define myself by race at all, until you are the only other white person on a train station where nobody else is white. And you will spot the other white person. You say, there's another human I have something in common with. And you will start talking, and you would never talk to that person in your home country. Or when you meet another Brit abroad, and if you are in the UK, you think, oh no, I don't want to talk to this idiot. But here you are the only other person from the same tribe, so you speak. I'm giving that as extreme examples. Sure. We all, immigrants do it everywhere. And as Alia said, if we don't use that wonderful term expat, you go to Fuengirola or Benalmádena, and you see all the immigrants sticking together, having full English breakfast and reading The Sun and complaining about bloody immigrants back home.
Yes.
But it's a human condition. We can make fun of it, but humans are that way. And then you get the Spanish, who for a long time were very welcoming of those kind of immigrants, because that's why we call them expats, because they had more money than the locals, right? Yeah. Or at least that was the perception. So if you bring money, you're an expat, but if you're poor, you're an immigrant. But at some point, they get fed up even with them, right? They think, at least have a menu in Spanish as well. But it's the human condition. And we even, Spain lives off tourism. it would not be in a situation without it is, or in the economy without tourism. And yet the sentiment now of people is more and more against tourists as well.
Of course.
So, so what I'm getting at is we all ultimately react in these ways because it's part of human nature. Now, if we want to have some sort of society that is going to be coherent and work, we will need to define what does it mean to be European, for example. What does it mean? And then by defining that, you also define what we don't want. And we need to be firm on this. We do not, if you come here to violate our laws and our order of things, you get out. And we will make you get out. But that is very controversial to the same people who say, oh, we should all be peace and roses.
We should build a longer table, etc., etc. Claudia.
I see that Angela Merkel opened the floodgates of hell back in 2015, in my opinion, and still 10 years on, we're living with those consequences. Because, for example, Germany, let's be honest, before 2015, it was very peaceful. You didn't hear of all these incidents of stabbings and cars ramming into people. It just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. Germany was known to be a very peaceful country. So I think Germany, even before that, has, relatively peaceful compared to what it is now, let's say. But Germany, I don't believe that Germany has suddenly become racist or anything, because there were always many Turks in Germany. There were Armenians. There was a multiculturalism, but there was a relative peace and everyone got on well. Okay, there's always a bit of tension here and there. Like in all countries, it's impossible for it to be 100% harmonious. But let's say generally everything was good. Same as in Spain. Like in Spain, there's always been in the last 30 years, there's always been immigrants, and up to now, it's been peaceful. But it's just in the last few years, again, you do get a minority of people who are not integrating, who are committing crime, and it's that minority that has to be dealt with, and we cannot tolerate it, whether they are British, Swiss, Moroccan, or wherever they're from. If you don't abide by the law and if you don't integrate, well, I'm sorry, you must move on wherever you're from. And I just think something so basic like that would avoid so many tensions and so many extremism that have taken advantage of the lax policies of both of the traditional parties. Same as I blame, for example, why is reform here and strong in the UK? It's very easy. It's because both Labour and the Conservatives have failed miserably for years, not only on immigration, but on many other things, cost of living, unemployment, etc. So they've given opportunity to these new parties who are just taking advantage of how upset and disillusioned people are with society.
And it's the lines we go. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Morning, Giles. It's Alf.
Morning, Alf.
I'm sorry, I never caught the name of the other guy you've got there. Not
Percy or Percy?
Percy.
Yeah.
Percy. Nice to hear you, Percy.
Thank you.
I do wonder at times when I listen in about. Well, I heard Peter earlier on, and I love it. So Peter's a bit like Gil when you get these long historical views that purport to be this is the truth, nothing but the truth, and everything else is myth, or whatever he wants to call it. Like he said earlier, it's a conspiracy theory. Sometimes people have different opinions, and it's nothing to do with conspiracy theories. It's just I have a different opinion. So the first thing is, I don't know how many times I've said it, and especially Claudia, Angela Merkel didn't to let anybody come into Europe. She just happened to have been a voice piece. She just happened to have been the big leader in Germany at the time when there was these, if you all recall, we had all the boat crossings, not in Sweta. We had the boat crossings from North Africa to Greece, North Africa to Italy, North Africa to wherever else it was down in that eastern part of the Mediterranean. And then, of course, we've always had the boat crossings across from North Africa to the Canary Islands. We've also always had, and where they come from, who knows, the boat crossings across the English Channel, because everybody assumes you get better treatment. I'm not sure why 1 million people didn't travel across Europe to go straight into Britain, if that was true. But we all know, I was listening to Farage the other day, and as much as I detest what he stands for, sometimes they tell you stories that are too believable to be unbelievable. So he was talking about the place where all the in France, all these people turn up, and it's made their lives a misery. And it's because it's young men with nowhere to go, not being processed properly, not being kept, and they create havoc. They burgle, they threaten people, they do whatever. And that's when you wonder, you know, as much as the UK pay France a lot of money for their policing, what are the French police doing about policing the people where they are? So you've got a town in France absolutely overrun with these people. The second place was Sweden. If people don't remember, Sweden, and everybody said, oh, they were forced to take these. No, the European Union and others agreed to take these migrants in from North Africa because of the problems towards the south of Europe. So Sweden agreed. So what do? They let in, I think it was about 500,000 immigrants into their country. No jobs, no housing, no welfare, no care, no nothing. Just we'll take them in, and 500,000. And people treat that like as if it's nothing. There are 12 million people only who live in Sweden. You've injected 500,000 people injecting 500,000 people into the whatever it is, 67 to 70 million people who live in the UK is not quite the same as injecting 500,000 people into a country that's only got 12 million people. But it wasn't Angela Merkel's fault. It was the European Union that were doing all this stuff, and you should stop. Because all the time you blame one person or blame something else, you're not trying to resolve the situation. And for Percy's sake, I'm not a bleeding heart lefty. I don't agree with much of what goes on with the way the immigration is dealt with. But you have to have a little weeny bit of sympathy for somebody who has got no life in the country where they live. And what we don't do is we don't send an army over to Morocco is a rich place, says Claudia. And I go, yeah, really? So why do they all want to come over to Spain? If it's that rich a country, why don't they just overturn all these... The second thing that was said is, Percy said, was... And Giles, I've said this many, many times, tribalism starts from the lowest base. My tribe was West Ham.
That's right.
Okay, West Ham United, that was my tribe. And then I was England. And then I was, wherever, European. And the tribe builds on. But I'll tell you the one tribal bit that's never been broken down and which causes, in my opinion, my humble opinion, the biggest problems of all, is that you cannot break down the tribes of religion. It's impossible. You will never integrate the religions ever, because it's impossible. So you want your biggest tribes and you want to get together and talk about things, fine, but just always understand, underlying all of that tribalism, I'm not religious at all, atheist, pure, but, and sometimes that's a cause of a problem as well. People with no religion are often just as bad as those with religion. Anyway, that's my little say.
All right, thank you very much.
Nice.
Alf, good to hear from you, though. And once again, sounding chirpy.
Chirpy, cheep.
Indeed, yes.
There's a song about that.
There is indeed. Let's not go in. Alf, good to hear from you as well. As always, my friend. Good to hear from you.
See you later, guys.
952784000 is the phone number. Quick break and then back with more Viewpoint.
Viewpoint
with
Giles Brown.
952-78-4000. I just wanted Claudio. It's Claudio, not Claudia. I'll refer to you as Claudia. But unless you've had the surgery and now,
I'm considering.
You're considering. That would be a first on TRE.
He's sitting
Trans
on the
Radio
fence,
Europe,
which might help.
Indeed,
Sorry, Percy.
I said he's sitting on the fence. It might save the surgery.
Let's not even go there. Right then, ouch. Right into the last. Believe it or not, 20 minutes or so this morning's Viewpoint. If you've got a viewpoint you want to get across, it can be local, national, or international. Then these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please key 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Asking the question on our Facebook page after the events in Ceuta, do you think that Spain is viewed as a soft option for those wishing to enter? So far, 87% say no, 12% say yes. To the WhatsApps. Next time anybody says Gibraltar is Spanish, the England football team should hold up a barrier saying Ceuta and Melilla son Marroquí. Very good indeed. Yeah, I thought you'd like that one. Meanwhile, cookies come in. Sikhs live side by side with others. We integrate and love the country that we are in. Thank you, Cookie. And and this coming in as well. Somebody's changed the light bulb, by the way, so it's absolutely just burnt my retina to a pulp. Your Spanish guest, that'll be you, Claudio. Your Spanish guest has explained the true situation re Morocco Ceuta better than any other commentator or politician I have heard discussing that. David from Javier. So there you go, Claudio.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. Right, to the lines we go. 952-78-4000. Morning, caller. You're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Charles, Peter again.
Hello, Peter.
All right. Just to clarify something, I don't want to he said, she said. Just to clarify for Alf, I never said that what I said is all the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. What I said is people lack an argument. I was trying to make it an explanation of what I believe, and then someone possibly could try to shoot it down or give me a reason why that wouldn't work or that's not. But I always get, especially from Alia, I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm stupid. I'll go away. That's all we get, right? And there's no argument at all. Now, I can recall Alf once saying on the radio here that although he's died in the war labour, that he reads the Tory manifesto. Always reads the Tory manifesto because he wants to know what he's up against. That's exactly what I'm trying to point out. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. That's down to you. If you understand the argument, then make the argument why my side fails and your side succeeds.
Yeah, debating. I mean, we have a debate. Yeah.
Exactly. But Alf says, I go on there and I just try to say, well, I'm right, and therefore you must all be wrong. That's not what I said. Never intended that. My point was the history and the argument and where we are at the moment in the world and what is happening. And if anybody, as much as I don't like to give him any praise, if anybody, Alf would probably look at that now. Now it's been flagged up. And he should look at it because that system, which he's part of, that global system, that and all this immigration you talk about, which is part of it, is the slave system. And Andreas mentioned the deaths, over 100 now? I thought it was 50-something, over 100 that nobody's talking about. Well, all these people that called these fruit pickers and the English won't do the jobs and we need the labour, they stand responsible for that because suddenly now you're all talking about controls and legal immigration. So suddenly now it's turned, it's flipped. And again, just to, as far as I understand, an expatriate is someone who left their country, notified the tax authorities that they were leaving, notified the country where they were going that they were arriving. That's an expatriate. Someone who just boots down the door and walks in is an immigrant or a migrant. So there's a massive difference. I'm an expatriate, so I'm not a migrant. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for calling there. 952-78-4000 is the phone number if you want to get involved with today's show. Take another quick break and then back, and we'll be back into the final 60 minutes or so this morning's Viewpoint.
Viewpoint
with
Giles Brown.
952 78 4000. So this coming in from Sam. Could the panel explain this contradiction? We are constantly told that immigration is essential because we need more workers. While at the same time, we are warned that AI and automation are going to replace millions of jobs. Both claims cannot simply be repeated without explaining how they fit together. If AI is taking the jobs, where exactly is the labour shortage? Right, let's try this again. Let me get my head around this one. Percy, I'm going to call on you here. Right. Could the panel, here's your side of, Claudio, wake up. Oh, hello. Oh, I'll just say that and then my bleeding thing goes off. Hang on a second. Let me just... Morning, calling you live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Yeah, hi guys. It's John from Mihas.
Hello, John.
Just to change the subject completely, on the 31st of March, Rex said that in August or by August, Trump will have declared a medical condition and then retire. Just wondering if that's still going to happen.
Blimey. Do you take notes of everything that happens during this? I mean, I know you're an ex-policeman.
Occasionally.
But I mean, the thought, that worries me that you're all out there. I mean, I know you like to pull me up at the best of times. But the fact... Just say that again, please, John, if you wouldn't mind from me.
No, when he said it, I was so surprised. That's why I made a note of it and said, I'll look at it in August again.
Right.
Rex said that on the 31st of March, he said that Trump will have a medical condition declared by this month. Right. I know he's still got most of the months to go, but...
Yeah,
because I thought, does he know? Because many years ago, my wife was a reporter in Fleet Street, and she told Fumo there would retire on a sudden illness in 6 months' time. And I thought she was crazy. And in 6 months' time, he had a sudden illness and retired.
Right, okay.
So I just wondered if Rex knew something we didn't.
Well, there you go. But thank you for the call in there.
Okay.
And be careful what you say because...
Good programme.
Well, thank you very much. With the law of averages says we'll get one in there every now and again, but thank you very much indeed. Right then, Gary. Good morning, Gary. He's saying something else now. Right, so here we go. So here's the question. Could the panel explain this contradiction? Okay? That immigration is essential because we need more workers. Well, at the same time, we are warned that AI and automation are going to replace millions of jobs. Both claims cannot simply be repeated without explaining how they fit together. If AI is taking the jobs, where exactly is the labour shortage? Radio.
On the strawberry fields on the potato fields and in all the in manufacturing. Come on, there are still millions and millions and millions of manual jobs which cannot as yet be done by AI.
Right.
And it's especially those manual jobs that people don't want to do anymore because we have very good social, in a lot of European countries still, I don't know how we afford them, but still we have very good social services where people can survive even without doing work.
Right.
And of course they don't want to get their hands dirty. For decades now, for example, we were talking about Germany earlier. I'm half German and I remember it well before, the difference was we had mainly Turkish immigrants, but we had 4 million or 5 million. Cologne is the second largest Turkish city, I think, after Istanbul. The amount of people is incredible, but they came from a country where they were far less Islamist and they were far more, it was a lot easier to integrate them. But, as long as I can remember, for example, binmen were Turkish.
Yeah.
There were no German binmen anymore. Nobody wanted to do it. Cleaners were Turkish. And then all the other countries that came in, there are a lot of jobs that people simply don't want to do because, they're not paying very well. They're considered maybe not menial. All those jobs need to be done. They continue to, you talked about the aging population earlier, which is one of the biggest problems we are facing and which is getting worse. All these people will need carers. Where are those carers coming from? AI can't do that. AI can't wipe your bottom when you're in the nursing home. AI can't. Maybe at some point there'll be robots for this. Not yet. No.
Robot bottom wipe. Who their bingo card today, ladies and gentlemen? Robot bottom wipe.
Well, probably exists already, but for a different kind of purpose. But
Claudia,
would you prefer a robot or a person? when you're lying there.
Okay, thank you. Well, no, you want,
Now, that's put a thought into all of our heads.
Sorry, yes, we're just processing that one. I should let me before whilst we're all debating that. Thank you. That's going to be a clip. I tell you that much. It's the Cookie agrees with you. It's the manual jobs that will not be replaced by AI. Sam comes in, automation. Also, this is okay, that's something different. And Gary says, Gary has said he loves a bit of Percy. So there you go. Oh. You're making sense to the nation.
Which bit?
I don't. Well,
don't ask. Yes, don't ask. I've known him for 17 plus years. Yes. You don't ask.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Okay. So Sam says, "Thank you very much." He takes that on now. Those are the jobs that come through. Hi, Giles. If a person emigrates, then becomes an immigrant in his new country of residence, expatriate is a phrase British people like to use to avoid the term immigrant. So
indeed,
we're having that discussion. Indeed, but yeah, it does raise an interesting point on AI. I mean, I can't see sort of real estate brokers, for example. You'll never be able to substitute a real estate broker for AI, will you? Claudio?
Oh, that's on the cards, definitely. That's on the card. And lawyers, especially ones that don't go to court, those are others that could soon disappear because AI can just revise contracts and make sure it's all.
But you need to have people thinking. I've long heard this thing about people talking about my job could be done. Well, my job could be done by a trained monkey, to be honest with you. But what I'm saying is, people are saying that we just. Don't look at me like that, Percy. You're supposed to be shaking your head, not nodding.
No, I'm just wondering about the trained. I didn't realise it was trained.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we have Percy for the show. Excuse me. What was I saying? But however, trained monkeys. No, but you need people. You need creative people because you have to think out of the box. Otherwise, you go down the same path because computer will always say yes or no. That can come to legal terms. It can come to somebody thinking, oh well, you may be looking for this as my holiday bolt away on my second home, but actually, have you considered looking at this place? I mean, so people will always want that. And let's not even get to the wiping of various regions, but people will always want that human touch. See what I did there in their day-to-day dealings. Alia,
I went down the rabbit hole about AI the other day because it fascinated me, and what I found out from AI, actually, I've lost my fizz a bit off my microphone. Oh, it's awful. Keeps falling off. What I learned from having looked into AI is you need the people to put the input into these machines. They don't think for themselves. You ask them something, and then they will give you an answer. And why do they give you an answer? Because people have put algorithms and information in. So they cannot do what a human being does. It can do a tremendous amount of good work, and it can do a tremendous amount of evil as well, because you've got to have a balance between the two, but they do not function without a human input. And that's why I think no matter what Elon Musk and all the others say, we're not going to die out. What I'm more worried about, quite frankly, getting away from AI, is what's going to happen with this wretched rocket, which is going to slam into the moon very soon.
I'm sorry?
Oh, yeah, didn't you see that?
No, I didn't see that one. That's
SpaceX rocket is going to slam into the moon very soon.
It's going to slam into the moon very soon.
Yes, I know. I'm a poet.
Exactly. Yes.
But it is. This is a very frightening thing. What is it going to do? I mean, come right over from AI. However, the name Musk brought this up. Anyway, AI is not going to take over from us. Percy said not yet. But we will always need somebody put input into the AI so it can function. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yes and no. I would respectfully, let's at least partly disagree with that. The whole idea of AI is that it can actually function autonomously.
Yeah.
And it does. We had the case quite recently of an experimental AI from OpenAI, which escaped from its enclosure, let's say. Its pad itself. and hacked into various websites and took them down. And it was basically a rogue AI. It was just an example of what can happen. Yes, the original... of course, it needs input, but the point will come where it can provide its own input. It can, and actually what a lot of AI does is what they say it hallucinates. So it creates where it doesn't find or have information, it creates its own. But, there was a story recently which was quite shocking, although not surprising, that the various AI companies are buying books by the millions in bulk just to scan them and destroy them.
Yeah.
But just to feed the AI with more and more content. And it doesn't really filter anything. It's just to train it mainly on language, because what we call AI, I mean, it's a little bit misleading. They are large language models. So there's a specific, it's all based on language. The AI that we imagine that is like sort of omnipotent and
we've all watched too many science fiction.
It's not far off. It's not far off, but it's, we're not there yet. But the big problem is, I mean, at the moment there's a boom in it because it's new. At the same time, people who actually use it a lot find the limitations also quite easily. I mean, it can do a lot of things brilliantly, and it depends in what field you are. If you're a programmer, AI is a boon and a blessing because you no longer need to write code out by hand. You tell the AI, and Claude specifically is very good for it. So, that is why AI is becoming so important. For anything else, I mean, people are lazy. They don't want to write anymore. AI writes for them with the
you can spot that a mile off.
Awful results that we see everywhere. Yes, but it's getting better. You see, this is the thing. How long has it been around? 3-4 years? That's very little. Imagine, remember what computers were like in the 90s. Imagine this 5, 6, 7 years from now. It's going to be quite different. It's going to be very hard to tell if you're talking to a human or to an AI. But I do think that we're going to see a backlash because we want, as you said, the human touch. We want, but at the same time, you already have now the generation of Gen Z and younger. They've grown up completely in the digital age. So we still remember a time before we were hooked on the phone or on the internet all day long. They don't. For them, it's natural to do everything. They live in a digital world. There will be a backlash, but at the same time, a lot of people will be immersed in this. And it's quite frightening what it's going to do to people's cognitive abilities, especially their creative abilities. Nobody really knows. I mean, anybody who makes predictions...
Are there known knowns and there are known unknowns, as Rumsfeld famously said?
Yeah, this is a known unknown.
Okay, regarding the lady's point, my lady, regarding AI...
Claudia.
Claudia. You've forgotten that crucial fact. Once AI has learned the job, it no longer needs humans to keep teaching it.
Yeah.
The thing with the one that went rogue was the fact that the idea was it got out of its virtual holding point because it thought that was part of the test.
Yes.
And therefore went and attacked the competitors, which was quite, good dog, etc.
Yeah.
But then you have to try and get it back in its pen, and obviously that gets people very upset very quickly indeed. You're looking pensively at me, Ali.
I'm also looking at the fact that these AI centers, the data centers, are massive, and they're making so many problems with the noise, the pollution, people who are living nearby. It's another thing like, do you remember the Brinkley case, Erin Brockovich?
Of course. Mm-hmm.
She's going up against them now. Right. She's fighting, and I'd like to see what goes on. And many people have stopped big data centers being built because of the horrors which are inflicted. There was one which was going to be built by the Nashville Zoo. For goodness sake, that stopped because of the horrendous noise that these things produce. Have you ever heard?
Zoo?
Nashville Zoo in America.
I'm thinking sort of, I don't know, animals with large Stetsons on.
Well, they wanted to build it right next to the Nashville Zoo. Now, these are animals which are there, which we are protecting, all right?
Yeah.
And doing breeding programs and so on and so forth. Many of them are going extinct or endangered. And they wanted to put one right next to it. Now, if you've ever heard an AI center, listen, because you will be horrified at the noise coming out. And it's continuous. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year.
Right.
Horrible.
Biggest water consumers
also,
in the world.
Colorado River is dried up.
And if you look at what they do ultimately, yes, there's a lot of great work done, but also, I mean, all the AI slop that's
produced. AI slop. There's a thought I didn't. Right then, almost out of time. Just to let you let us quickly know the vote about Spain being viewed as a soft option for those wishing to enter illegally. 87% of you said no to that one. And obviously what that also means is that I got that completely wrong. But there you go, 87% saying no. Well, thanks very much to the guests today. They have been from my right, literally, Claudio Della Torre. Claudio, thank you very much indeed for your time today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, like always. Have a great day.
Indeed, Claudio. Percy, good to have you back again. Thanks very much for coming in today.
My pleasure. You are well trained, by the way.
I am well trained as an sorry? Alia?
She's not talking about you.
I wasn't even talking
about me this time. Alia, I'm just trying to sign out professionally from the show.
Yes. Bye-bye, everybody. Always a pleasure to be on the show, Giles, and great fun and very interesting this week.
Just to let you know, you are putting the top back on the microphone. You're not fiddling down my shirt or something like that with my microphone. Right then.
I might be tempted, but I haven't got there yet.
Right then, that's trained monkey that I am. Right, this show is going to be repeated. This show will be repeated. Oh dear, yes indeed. This show will be repeated at 6 o'clock. Thanks very much for all your comments and all your questions and all your observations, because it makes the show indeed. I'll be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock with Let's Talk. Stephen Ritson and Europe Today is up next. Have a great rest of your day. I'm off to try to see how my trained monkey is doing, but there you go. I'll see you tomorrow. Stephen Ritson's up next.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this program, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit TRE.radio.